Hi everyone, I'm Angela and welcome to Crafting with Angela. Today we're going to be making a Patrick's Day card. This card is going to be made using general craft supplies that you hopefully will have in your house. I'm going to show you two different ways of making a similar card, just depending on what you have. So I have some green glitter, I have a green Momento ink, so it's bamboo leaves. I have a heart punch. This is a tiny heart punch, and I have a bigger heart punch. I also have a heart die cut, a heart die to cut them out with. As well as that, we want some heart stamps. So I have a lawn fawn stamp set here. It's push me or push here, but it has a nice open heart, so it's just the line of the heart. So we have that one. And I also have this stamp set. Oh, get the right way around. It's a sentiment stamp set that I have been using for a while now. Different birthday sentiments and things like that. But what I like about it is that there's these heart stamps at the side. So I'm going to use the biggest one of those. And this is a filled heart, so it's going to go on as a solid heart. As well as that, I'll need acrylic blocks. I am going to use some green cards. This is a piece of green card scrap. I have a bigger piece of it later if I need it. And I also have another stamp set here with a ticket die in the back of it, and it says on it there's a Happy St. Patrick's Day stamp in there, so I'm going to do that. I'll also need some double-sided tape, because that's how I'm going to put the glitter on, using double-sided tape. And I have my standard tools, so my Burley art glue, a pokey tool, I have my bone folder, and somewhere or other I have a pair of scissors as well. I think that's everything that I need. But let's get started with our cards. So like I said, I'm going to make two cards. I have two card bases here that I'm going to use. This one is a 6x6 inch square card, and this one is a 5x7 rectangular card. They're both side folding cards. At least that's how I'm going to be using them today. And what I am going to do first of all is show you the one using the punches. So I have punches. I'm going to use the green paper. I have green ink, and I am going to use the smaller of the heart stamps that I have, just because I think it matches these size of punches. So I'm only going to use one of the punches, but I just wanted to show you that it works just as well with any size of punch that you have. When I was demoing this earlier, I used this smaller heart punch, and it made me a 4-leaf clover that looked like this. And that's what we're going to be doing, is making one 4-leaf clover out of 4 heart punch together. And all I've done here is cut a small square of the same card in the middle to stick it together, leave a bit of a gap, and then that's your 4-leaf clover. So just to show you, as long as you have a heart punch of any sort, this will work. So I have a bigger heart punch here. I have the smaller circle, the smaller heart stamp. I also have, I'm going to use this acrylic bucket, so it's a circular cylindrical one, and I'm going to use that on the end because it just allows me to see where I'm putting it. Okay, so I'm coming in with my caterpillar. Hopefully you can see this in shot. So 5x7 means we want 4 3/4 by, let me open this up, 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 in the green. That'll leave me a piece of green scrap that I can cut other things out of. And then in the white we want 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And what that should then give me is a 1/4 inch layer all the way around on that, and also then a 1/4 1-inch layer around the card base as well. And it gives me a couple of pieces of scrap here as well if I need them. So with all that in mind, let me move this off to the side. At the minute, we're just going to be working on the base piece, which is going to be the background piece. Okay, and all I am going to do here, first of all, I'm going to stamp. So when I stamp, I like to bring in a piece of, I think this is 2mm thick foam, and I like using it to make sure that we have the enough bounce on it to get a good image. Now this stamp isn't sticking easily to this cylindrical block, so all I'm going to do is come in with a bit of glue stick. Okay. Oops. So what I am wanting to do, I'm going to come in with the bamboo leaves in the Momento, so the nice green. What I'm wanting to do is stamp shamrocks all over this background. So shamrocks are going to be based on 3 circles. So this is our lucky clover, which is the 4, and we're going to make shamrocks, which are the 3. So let me just show you what I mean here. So we get some ink on this, we just randomly stamp 1. We come in. Hopefully this works when I can't see it all that well. You want to line it up in the middle, overlap in the middle, and do that. This is just the background, so I don't mind if it's not exactly perfect. Oh. We'll turn that over and start again, because yeah, I don't mind if it's not perfect, but I do want to make sure that the heart's facing the right way. Let's try that again. So, as long as you remember where the point of the heart is, you're basically stamping a triangle of hearts in the same location to create your shamrock. We just want to do this over the background. So I'll fast forward here so you don't have to watch me stamping all these out in real time. So I've stamped the background, been really random. Some of them are not as great as others. That's fine, this is a stamped background, I don't mind that. What I do like to do now, but is because this is a background, I like to go around every so often and kind of give the idea that the background goes on beyond what you see. So a couple of images stamped off the page there, I just think it makes it look more continuous. So that's this background. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shamrock like this, and we're going to stick it on, and it's going to get raised up a bit, and that's going to be the main image. So let me come in with the scrap that we have. Now, using this one that I did earlier just to see, I like it. I like that it stands out, but I think I could make it more special. This is a lucky clover, so I want to make it look lucky, but I don't have a green glitter card that I think is the suitable color. All my green glitter cards are quite faint. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in with some double-sided tape, and I'm just going to press this down with the with my bone folder. Oops. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, trim off the pieces of tape that have gone over the edges because we don't need them. Pick off these two, making sure that's nice and neatly pressed down here. Peel off the back of this paper. So this is just a way that you can do this other ways. I just like, if you need to make your own glitter cardstock, I'm coming in, there's a bit of a gap between the two pieces of double-sided tape. So yet again, I'm just coming in and filling that gap there, so when we stick the glitter down it doesn't look wrong, for want of a better term. Okay, so I do this the same way that I do my embossing powder. So scrap piece of paper, this is copier paper just, and I'm just going to come in here with my glitter and put a layer over that. Come in, tap off as much of it as we can. Okay. If you want to tidy it up, you can come in with a paintbrush or something and just rub the worst of that off. I don't mind too much. And then, with the reminder that glitter gets absolutely everywhere. Once you've opened it and started using it, you will be covered in the glitter for a long time. Okay. All I'm going to do now is come in, put the copier paper over the top, and just use my bone folder to really push that glitter down. You don't have to do this, you can put the bone folder directly onto it. When I do that, I get glitter all over my bone folder, and then my next 4 projects are all covered in glitter. Don't mind if it's clear glitter, but when it's a coloured glitter it never quite works as well. So there we go. We have this, and all I'm going to do now is come in with my hole punch. Now I am doing this back to front so I can line it up. What I will say is, if you are cutting this out at home, it is always easier to put your punch down like this and press down from the top. You can get much more pressure that way. But since I want to make sure that I have it on my glitter, I am doing this and making sure it comes out. It does stick a bit, and that's because it does stick in the punch slightly because of the double-sided tape and the glitter that's in there. There we go. There is 4 hearts. The other thing I want to do is, if I can find my hole punch, yep. So instead I am just going to come in and cut a square out of this heart here that's in the glitter, and that's going to be our center. And that, just when we stick these down, we don't have to worry about them coming up. This is where I use my Burley Art glitter, this is where I use my Burley Art glue. So I'm just coming in, and for this I am putting a good amount of it. You don't need anywhere near as much of it as this, but when I have that amount of glitter on the card and oops, you want to stick down 4 hearts on top of it, I like to make sure it's done right. So let's stick that back up again, wipe the glue off that, and then all we're doing with this, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to hold that square in place. I am putting the first heart at the top, and all you want to do is leave a thin layer between them. And this can be difficult to see when your hands are getting in the way. Much easier to do at home when you can't see everything that's going on in the background. But and then I'm just going to come in with the acrylic block that I have. I'm going to put that in place. Now what you will notice is on this stamp, the first punch that I practiced with, the edges were very straight, so I was able to get nice thin gap. I don't know if you can see that well or not. I was able to get a thin gap between each of the hearts, which I think looks more like a lucky clover. With this one, if you can tell, I don't know if you can tell or not, but the sides of the hearts are not as straight, they're more rounded, and that just means when we do this bit you can't get the gap between them, but it leaves more of a gap at the center. I don't think there's a right or a wrong here. I think either way works. So we're just going to set this off to the side, let that dry. It is Burley Art glue, it will dry relatively quickly, but I did put a lot of it on there. Then I'm going to come in with my sentiment stamp. So this was the stamp sets I've been using, and I've used in another video, which is all the different seasonal things, and it also comes with dies. So you can see there's ticket dies. I always try and cut out some extras of the dies when I have them. So let me just show you what I have here. If I can get them out. So this one comes with a banner, there's a ticket set, there's those two with the spriggly edges, and then there's a straight set. I'm not going to use these two. And let me put the dies back. I'm going to stamp these three out with the St. Patrick's Day stamp, so I want to take that out. I'm waiting on a new stand driving, so hopefully my videos after this week will not be so so jittery with moving around the desk, hopefully. So like I said, this stamp set that I have came with die cuts, and I have some extras here, so I'm just going to put them out, and I am just going to stamp them out now with the St. Patrick's Day stamp. I have my piece of foam, so I can make sure I get a good impression. I'm going to come on here with the bamboo leaf, so it's going to match the background stamp. And I'm going to stamp down and make sure good pressure around it for this to make sure it's working okay. Okay, and then we'll do the next two ticket styles. Line it up. Okay, and press down, giving a good amount of time for the ink to transfer from the stamp to the paper. You don't need to put massive amount of pressure on, just make sure that's good. And we'll do another one of them. I like how that sentiment has worked there, so put these two to the side. I'll use them maybe on the later card. This is going to go nicely onto the background that we created. And then all I want is, I'm going to stick this on here, but before I do, I just want to come in and give a bit of dimension. All I'm doing is squeezing the two sides up to give this a bit of dimension. Doesn't have to be a massive amount, just so it doesn't look quite so flat on the card base. Okay. I'm going to stick both the sentiment and the shamrock, no, lucky clover up on foam tape. I'm going to come. Do not do that. I will have to think of how I'm going to fix that. I'm just going to come in with the ink pad. I might just have to make that the background. Note to self for future: when you are doing inking edges, don't have the background below the ink pad, because things like that, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong for me. So I'm just coming in here like that to give that a bit of an edge, and that's just what stands out better, I think, against the background. And I'm just going to randomly come in, see if we can make this look like it was supposed to. Be that kind. It's a bit silly, but it's better than having it in just one place. Okay, so I have some foam tape here. Just going to come in, tear off a piece here and put it on the back of the sentiment. Again, come in with the bone folder and make sure it has a good burnish, make sure it's attached really firmly there. And before I take that off, I'm just going to work out where exactly I want this to sit. I did have a couple of shamrocks that didn't quite work out, so I'm wondering, do I want that? Resentable, so I could use that to look a bit like a, actually yeah, that'll make it look a bit like a stem of my shamrock. We'll do that. Okay, so with that in mind, peeling the back of the foam tape and putting it down where I want it, which is there, and I'm going to use scissors to cut this now, and all I'm going to do is cut a very thin strip of it, and then I'm actually going to fold this in, or cut it in half and double it up to give this a bit more height. Sticking the first piece on, burnish it down, take the backing off, and stick the next piece down on top of that, and burnish it down again. And one of my I'll stick that, lift that up a wee bit if I can, move it up slightly. I'm just going to come in, since this all decided to not play a game with me, and put a bit of glue in the back of this. Okay, and that'll hold that in place. I'm going to write on the inside of this one, the sentiment on the inside is going to say, "You're my lucky clover." I just think that works with the sentiment that we have there. So to finish this card off, really simple. We're going to stick this onto the green card base, coming in with the Burley art glue again. Oops. It around the edges. Again, this is light card on the paper, or paper on the paper. It's quite thin white strip that I'm using. I'm going to try and line this up nice and neatly. If you can get three sides to be even, the chances are all your sides are even. Not necessarily if you've cut the paper wrong, but for the most part that's the way it works. Okay. Give that a minute to dry. Before we stick that onto the front of my card base, I am going to go inside here. You know me, by now you should know I like putting something on the inside to tie it together. So what I'm going to do now is attempt to put a shamrock on the inside of the card there. Now I'm going to put another one down at the bottom. And by shamrock I mean the one that's the three-sided rather than... Okay, and that'll tie that together. Let me get some glue on the back of the layer. Okay, and again trying to place this evenly, and the one good thing about using a liquid glue is you do have a bit of wiggle room with it. The burley art glue does dry relatively quickly, but you still have that bit of wiggle room to move things if you need to. And that is the first card completed. For the second card I'm going to do pretty much the same thing but make a slightly different background. This time we're going to use the 6x6 inch card base. Instead of layering it with the green card, however, I'm going to use the ink to create the background, the ink to create the layer, and this time I am going to use the heart from the Lawn Fawn stump set. Okay, let me get the purple mat back in again. Actually, let me cut this down first of all because I'm taking myself a step ahead. Okay, so that card base is a 6x6 inch card base. I'm going to cut this at 5.5 by 5.5. Okay, that's what I'm going to be using. As the actual background, and we're going to be doing exactly the same thing as we did on the last card base. The only difference is we're using slightly different ways of making the shamrock. So this time I'm using that bigger punch, the bigger stump. So I'm going to come in, and this is an open punch. It's a bit easier to see with the acrylic block. Okay, and I'm just going to do exactly the same thing here. So let me skip to the end. So I have completed the background here. Again, gone off the edges at some place. I did mis-stump one there and tried to re-stump it. That did not work. So I'm going to turn around this way and see if when we put the sentiment on we can try and cover that edge of the stump or something. Okay, so that's the background completed. We no longer need the ink and the stamp. What I am going to do now is come in with my die. So I have a heart die. It's a small heart die, and all I'm going to do is stick it on here. This is the one we used for the previous card. Take a bit of loose tack tape again, as always. Just sticking it onto the back of my hand. Stick it down here, and I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine and come back and cut 4 of these out. Okay, so I've die cut out the 4 hearts, and I've cut out a tiny square of the green again. This time you'll notice I didn't put any glitter card on. I just show you what you can do if you don't want to put the glitter on. So what I'm going to do now is do exactly the same things I had before, but this time instead of gluing it onto the square, I'm going to glue it onto the back of the heart shapes themselves. And that's solely because without the glitter there, this shouldn't be as much of an issue. Okay, so again, just coming in, trying to get that roughly in the center. Okay. Trying to leave a slight gap between them all. Oops. I'll come in with the last one. Okay, so we've got a bit of a gap between them all, which I like. I think it makes it look more like a flower rather than just a set of hearts put together. So again, just going to leave that over there with the block on top of it to dry. Shouldn't take too long to dry. I am going to use the sentiment that we used earlier. So the same one as before. And I'm thinking if we can sort of pick, that might work there. We'll maybe put the, but again, exactly what I did in the last one, coming in with the green ink. You'll notice I moved the ink over a bit, so I'm not doing it in front of the background. At least vaguely try to learn from my mistakes. Okay, and that is going to go again using the same, I'm just trying to find where my tape is there, using the same tape. Sticking that back. So again, we're just trying to give it some height here, and that's going to go roughly, oops, over there. And then this, hopefully now that it's dried, is going to go over in the corner. So exactly the same thing as before. Cut the foam tape, cut it in half, and then we will stick on top of each other and see if we can get that to work. Okay, and then that will go, I think, somewhere about there. Okay, now before I stick that all on, I was going to show you a different way of doing the edging. So the last time when we did the matte layer, we just stuck it onto card, to the green card. This time I'm going to show you a different way of doing a similar idea using our ink and a blending brush. So I'm just looking to see, you can use masking tape. What I like to use is just whatever tape, this is washi tape that I have. So I'm just going to roughly come in and tape it down like that. You just want to get this straight. It's not going to tape down, unfortunately, onto, that doesn't look straight to me. Let me just move that a bit. This tape actually has lines in it, so you can roughly use it to make sure it's straight. I have a silicone mat here. I can tell you now, the silicone mat will not, the tape will not stick to it, but it will do enough to hold it in place and give us. What I've done here is I've just stuck that tape, hopefully a similar amount around each edge, And then I'm just going to come in with the bamboo leaf and a brush. I'm just going to brush the colour in here. Even. You can then lift your background. We'll need to trim this background down a bit, but all I'm doing here is just checking if I put that on there, are we getting a relatively good coverage around. There's nowhere that looks too white. It hasn't been inked. Okay, and there we go. That's the ink blending done, and then all we do is come in with the tape and take the tape off, and this is the reveal part I really like. Okay, so all I want to do now is cut this down a bit. So at the minute this is 5.5, I think. If we cut down to 5.25 on both sides, let's see what that looks like. That's going to go there roughly, and this is going to go up here. Oh, sorry, no, I'm going to put that more overlapping. Perfect. So if you ever need to hold a card down, just take a piece of washi tape or glue stick tape, fold it on itself and put it in, and that will hold it in place when you need it. Come in with the glue again, and exactly what we did before. Line, oops, around the edge. Okay, there's that. Maybe not quite level on the top, but there we go. Going to stick the sentiment down over that bit there. Yeah, I'm going to put this over here, but before I do, exactly the same thing I did before, just try and round these up. Another way you can do it instead of just pressing it, if you want, is take something that's rounded, like the end of it, won't fold it, just hold it in the center and pull from the center out, and that just sort of rounds the edges out a bit. Okay, I'm going to take the backing off this now. Okay, put it down at a slight angle, and there we go. That's the second Valentine's card. So here are the two completed cards. What I did on this one is I used some just green glitter glue. I put a couple of dots on the card. I don't know if you can see it, but in the center of the shamrock there's a drop there too. And I put two green glitter hearts on the envelope. For this one I put just a dab of the green glitter glue in the center of the shamrock. I stuck the smaller shamrock that I showed you at the beginning on the inside of the card, and again a couple of green hearts on the outside.